जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल गंगा। विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा। तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे। गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। जय हे
Thank you so much, everybody. Once again, there are some late guests. I want to thank all the guests, first of all, because this was a short notice for a lot of you, because the planning started really late. But all of you came not only from USA, from all over the world pretty much. We have guests from all religion under one umbrella, and that's why it is a Sadbhavana event. So please give a round of applause for yourselves, because you have spared your lovely moments, precious time and money to be part of this wonderful event. With that, I'm going to invite on the stage Shri Gurudev Ravi Shankarji to please come and give his blessings, give his speech to all of you. With your round of applause, please welcome Shri Ravi.
Honorable guests on the dais and in the audience, dignitaries, His Excellencies, host senators and congressmen who are present here, and all those who have assembled here from various parts of the United States of America. It's such a pleasure for me to be part of this function, Sadbhavana. Sadbhavana itself means wellness, well-being, wishing well, uniting people. This is so much needed today in the world where hearts and minds need to be united. And this book, this initiative that has been taken by our Honorable Prime Minister of India in the past 8 years is something phenomenal. A sea of change has come. If many of you have not visited in the past few years, you must now come back to India and visit. The infrastructural development and attending to the poorest of the poor sections of society, the ease with which one can do business. There are many initiatives, and especially with the Sikh community, which has been the backbone of Indian culture. The greetings that goes in Sikh community, Sat Shri Akal, is one of the greatest greetings that you can ever think of. Let the truth and the Sat, truth, and Shri, wealth, and that which is beyond time and space, that power of divine, let it protect us. Let us recognize that. Let us see that beautiful power of wisdom in everyone. That is the greeting. Sat Shri Akal and Namaste. I see the divinity inside. So this occasion in which we are looking at the contribution of modern India to the world to bring peace is something that's noteworthy. See, today after the 2 years of pandemic, there is a lot of uncertainty and fear, violence. At this time, you need hope of life. And our Honorable Prime Minister is bringing that hope of life to every community, not just one section of society, but every community, every section, every religious group are being attended to. I would like to mention here that the valor and compassion which is unique to Sikh community is what our Honorable Prime Minister also imbibes that. In India there is a common belief: if you find anyone from Sikh community, this is most reliable person. They are most reliable and trustworthy. They will protect, they will give their life, but they will protect you. This is the thought and idea that has been prevalent today in society. So the community has been in the forefront in serving society, in patronage and expression of compassion, expression of valor. This has to be laudable, and these are the values our Honorable Prime Minister also embodies. And in this book, our Satnam Sidhu ji, whom I know for a long time, is being the founding person of Chandigarh University, which is bringing education to hundreds and thousands of young people, molding young people to be more creative, to be more entrepreneurial in nature, and to spread wellness, goodness in society. And Satnamji and Darshan Dariwala ji also has been part of this initiative to bring to light to our society what has already been achieved. Many times projects happen, programs happen, but people are not aware of it. And through books and through media, that can be made available to people around the world. And the contribution, one is contribution of the Sikh community to the world, and then our Prime Minister's contribution to make sure, already there has been mentioned, he has has been the instrument in opening the corridor to Kartarpur Sahib. And also, if you have not watched the video of the 400 years of Guru Tegh Bahadur's program, you must watch. The place, Red Fort, which was once a place of terror, people were terrified. And today, from that place, a big celebration which was never imagined, it was beyond imagination of anyone. The past was done just couple of months ago. And you must watch that and his speech on the Guru Tegh Bahadur's ideals and sacrifice to the society. With these few words, I would say that let us all be united in Sadbhavana, have that oneness in our heart and valor in our mind to face the challenges that we have in the world and help all those who are in need of help. Peace is our mantra. Peace, let's all see that there is inner peace and there is outer peace. When there is no inner peace, there will be no outer peace. And all the 10 Sikh Gurus have held these ideals of inner peace, Nam Japo, and then bring outer peace, protect the society. With these few words, I once again congratulate the organizers of this program and the dignitaries who have arrived from India. We have several of them who are very accomplished. Hans Raji is there, is a great singer. I'm sure he will enthrall all of us here. But since I have to be for another program, I take pardon from all of you and I wish all the success to this program. Let's keep on.
This is very important picture. Okay, okay.
Bobby आप हो जाए side please side please side please
We're going to have Shri Shri Ravi Shankar ji release both the books along with Dr. Darshan Singh Hariwal and Dr. Bharat Barai, Satnam Sandhu ji.
Please. Hello. One more time, please.
Can we play the video, please?
Sir, please. This is important. Hello. Hello.
We're going to request Shri ji just to be seated only for a few minutes. Just few minutes for this video. This is related to this book. Thank you so much for your patience. We appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Gurudev.
Hello, please. Watch video.
what's Kaya
बैसाखी भी है और ये हमारे सिख पंथ के सर्जना दिवस के उत्सव भी होता है। गुरु गोविंद सिंह जी को भी हम याद करते हैं और उनसे प्रेरणा लेकर के जो समाज के लिए उन्होंने काम किया, जो गुरु नानक साहब और श्री कृष्ण गुरु ने काम किया, उन सबके जो टीचिंग्स है उससे भी हम प्रेरणा लेते हैं। तो बैसाखी के इस शुभ अवसर पर जहाँ मैं आप सबको शुभकामनाएं देता हूँ, वही यह पवित्र कार्य जो आज बुक लॉन्च हुआ है, ये बहुत ही ऐसे दिन पर हुआ जो बहुत ही पवित्र दिन है और इसके लिए इधर आयोजकों को बधाई देता हूँ कि उन्होंने इस काम की पहल की है।
और मैं अभिनंदन देती हूँ संधू साहब आपको कि आपने आक्रोश में नहीं बल्कि इंसानियत का जामा पहनाकर उस सत्य को इस पुस्तक के माध्यम से भी प्रकाशित करने का साहस दिखाया। आज अगर हम पांचों स्तंभों की बात करें, एक विषय उसमें संतोष का है, सेल्फलेस सर्विस का है। और हम सब हमेशा इस सोच में रहते हैं कि जब नरेंद्र भाई ने SCRA का रजिस्ट्रेशन दरबार साहब के पुण्य चरणों में अर्पित करवाया तो प्रश्न उठा कि वर्षों वर्ष से मांग। ऐसा नहीं था कि सिख समुदाय की इस मांग को पहले की सरकार ने सुना, सुनकर अनदेखा कर देगा, वो भी अपने आप में समुदाय के प्रति कितना बड़ा विश्वासघात है। मैं आज अभिभूत हूँ कि संधू साहब आपने इस पुस्तक के माध्यम से उस सच को भी संतों की दृष्टि से उजागर किया।
All right. First of all, our apologies. There was a technical glitch in this video which we will play again. But we want to thank Shri Ravi Shankar ji for giving us more minutes. He has another events to attend, as you all know. We are very, very grateful and honored that he accepted our invitation and be a part of this wonderful evening just for a short while. Let's give a round of applause to Sri Ravi Shankarji for his wisdom, thoughts, and his blessings. Dr. Sanjay, if you can hear me, can you please come on the dais? Dr. Sanjay?
Yes, fine. वो भी बच्चे ना चीज ना जवाब बच्चे.
Next few guests and the dignitaries will be introduced by Dr. Sanjay.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's a very auspicious occasion. I have the pleasure of introducing to you two noteworthy gentlemen from the state of Wisconsin. First of all, and I'd like them to stand up, please, when I acknowledge them. Mr. Robin Voss, Speaker of the House, illustrious Speaker of the House, fearless champion of Republic values, businessman, long-time congressman, a solid citizen, a good friend of the people of Wisconsin. Welcome, Robin and Michelle. Next, I would like to acknowledge Mr. Glenn Rothman. We are proud to have him as a congressman from the 6th Congressional District. Mr. Rothman has distinguished himself in his career in Wisconsin with multiple leadership positions in the House and the Senate, and his fiscally responsible vision continues to shape the way forward for the United States. Thank you. Round of applause for the gentleman. I would like to ask Shefali to come to the stage to introduce the third person, Congressman Brian Steele. Shefali Villecha. Ms. Villecha is missing, so I'll do the honors. Congressman Brian Steele, please stand up. Honorable Congressman from the 1st Congressional District, ranking member of the House Committee on Diversity and Inclusion, has lent a forceful voice to economic concerns in the House, given his extensive experience of dealing with Chinese trade relations in the past, as well as his extensive experience with education at the UW Board of Regents. A very large round of applause for all three. May I request Speaker Robin Voss to please come to the dais and say a few words.
I bring greetings from my colleagues who are not able to join us today, but we all share a common love of many things in the world. One is Darshan Dhaliwal. His leadership is truly remarkable, not only in the private sector, but also in the ability to bring people together at an event like this. We certainly respect and love the values that our two countries share. A love of democracy, a love of freedom, respect for religion, and most importantly, bringing our two countries closer together as we share those common values. So I just want to say thank you for having us here tonight. I truly enjoy the opportunity to learn and understand more about Indian culture and your political world, and I will be extremely interested to hear the rest of tonight's engagement. So thank you very much for having me.
Hello.
Good evening, everyone. I would would like to invite Congressman Branston to be on the stage and say a few words.
It's an honor to be here tonight. It's an honor to be here tonight. When we think about the United States, it's a country of immigrants, a country of many cultures coming together as one. And a few years ago, before I was a member of Congress, I had the opportunity to go to India. I was in New Delhi, was able to travel the country, and I also saw firsthand how India is a democracy, but also a country of many cultures, in some ways, coming together as one. And when Darshan Dhaliwal asked me if I would be willing to come to Illinois, which, being from Wisconsin, we don't always go to Illinois. Mostly nervous of speeding tickets. But I was more than honored to come because the U.S.-India relationship is so important. It's important to both countries. As we look out, the strength of American democracy and Indian democracy and the freedoms and liberties we love and share collectively is so important. So it's an honor to be here tonight and also look forward to tonight's program. Thank you for having me.
Chief guest of this wonderful evening, I would like you to please give a round of applause to our chief guest, His Excellency Honorable Ambassador of India to the United States, Taranjeet Singh Sandhu.
This side.
Dr. Sanjay. Dr. Sanjay. Please stand by, please.
Please side માં ચાલશો. કેટલો સ્ટેન્ડ લેજો
બધાના ફેસ તો આવશે. I know. એક હશે તો મારી સરસ શાળા.
Senator Ron Johnson is also here from Wisconsin. Please have a round of applause to one of the powerful senators in the United States Senate. We are so glad and honored that you are here amongst us in this wonderful Sunday afternoon. I would like Dr. Sanjay to please continue and introduce Senator Ron Johnson.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed my pleasure and privilege to introduce to you our Republican Senator from Wisconsin, Senator Ron Johnson. Senator Johnson is a Republican senator who has come by way of business. So we are very happy to see a senator who understood what businesses are all about. And he has indeed proved that in the U.S. Senate, being their champion of Republican values and standing up for the common man. I give you Senator Johnson.
I'm just going to add one more thing. Senator Johnson is a son of a farmer like all of us. So let's give it up for Senator Johnson.
Well, thank you, Darshan. Nice to meet you, and thank you for the invitation, Mr. Ambassador. I enjoyed our meeting. We actually had a very good meeting. I know it's brief, but I think that the main point I made with the ambassador is that as democracies, as nations with free people, we need to have an excellent relationship. And my guess is those of you that are here today have immigrated from India. I don't know whether you've become citizens or whether you're dual citizens or whether you just are here working. But my guess is you came to America because of what we value about America. I always talk about the one essential ingredient that certainly made this country great, and I think makes any nation great, which is freedom. In America, we have that freedom within a free market competitive system, within a system of government that's limited and is supposed to protect that freedom, but it is that freedom that we used to dream and aspire and build and create. And I know the Indian community in America contributes significantly to helping us build our nation and help make a more peaceful, more prosperous world. So certainly I appreciate all of your efforts as well. What's happening, unfortunately, in America today is over the course of a couple of elections with Democrat presidents who ran as candidates that promised that they were going to fundamentally transform America. Now, one of the questions I asked is, do you even like, much less love, something you want to fundamentally transform? The analogy I use is I wake up in the morning, I look at my wife, Jane, I love you, and I want to change everything about you. That would not go over very well. Okay? So the fact of the matter is, you don't particularly like and love something you want to fundamentally transform. And of course now, unfortunately in America, we are seeing what that fundamental transformation looks like. It's an open border, it's 40-year high inflation, it's record gasoline prices, high energy prices, it's rising crime. In America, we don't even have enough baby formula to feed our infants. So I'm not impressed with fundamental transformation. I hope you aren't either. I would argue that the fundamental transformation of America is fundamentally destroying this country. And again, I love this nation. I think America is something rare, it is something precious in the span of human history. It's not a perfect nation, but I happen to think that America has been a phenomenal force for good in the world. And the only way that America can be strong and we can be that shining city on a hill, that beacon, and help stabilize the world is if America can be strong. If we can actually achieve the healing and uniting that President Biden promised us in the inaugural address, but he has not delivered on. So my message, certainly through this campaign, my message to Wisconsinites and Americans is let us assume that mission, that goal of unifying and healing America. Because this is a very special nation. And our relationship with India can also and is special and needs to be special. It needs to be strong. But again, I just want to thank you for this opportunity to address you. I have to emphasize that one special ingredient, freedom. It's certainly what more than 1 million Americans have fought and died for defending. It's unfortunately something that we are always going to have to fight for and defend. But without it, none of this is possible. That's certainly why I stepped up the plate to fight for freedom. That's what I'm doing again running for re-election. That's what all of us need to do to help stabilize our world so that we can all achieve the peace and prosperity and security that we all seek. So God bless all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's a real honor for all of us to have one of the strong senator from the state of Wisconsin, Senator Ron Johnson. Since we were out there escorting Shri Shri, we missed one guest. I would like to acknowledge and please invite our Consul General, our dear friend Amit Ji, to please come on the stage and have a seat. Amit Kumar, Consul General of India in Chicago. Most of you have met him, most of you know him. He's our friendly Consul General who can be approached 24/7. Dr. Sanjay.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would also like to acknowledge and ask Congressman Glenn Grothman to please come up to the dais and say a few kind words.
Well, thank you. It kind of made my month when Darshan told me about this. I didn't. Otherwise, I'd probably just be hanging around Wisconsin having another hamburger, and a chance to see all you folks and learn a little bit more India and learn about your journey to the United States is something I look forward to doing throughout the evening. I'd like to thank you all for being here. I'd like to thank those of you who've immigrated from India for coming here. Our country, John Adams said America is a country for a moral and religious people and totally unfit for anyone else. And I think when I meet Darshan and I meet with other people he introduces me to, who certainly are more religious people, and we desperately need more religious people in the United States at this time. So I'm honored to be here with you. I look forward to learning from you throughout the evening, and thank you for all being here.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a great pleasure to have the Congressman. When there was a Howdy Modi event in Houston, he joined us from the state of Wisconsin. We want to thank you for being here and being there and with all of us community in general. Once again, round of applause for the Congressman.
Can I have the honor to invite Debbie? Please be on the stage and share a few words with us.
Good evening. I am Debbie Ford, and I have the honor of serving as the Chancellor at the University of Wisconsin-Parkside, which is about an hour northeast of here. We have a long and lasting partnership with Mr. Darshan Dhaliwal. Thank you, Darshan, for inviting us, and thank you for your partnership. I have had the good fortune throughout my career at the University of Wisconsin-Parkside to visit India twice. And I also, as we celebrate our graduates, over 28,000 graduates from our university, many call India home. And every time I've had a chance to visit, it warms my heart for the people I have met and the opportunities to build new partnerships with universities from around the world so that our students today and our graduates of the future have the opportunities to learn and grow from different cultures. So I am honored to be here this evening. We have one of our outstanding faculty members, Dr. Abby Kuravilla, joining us this evening, along with colleagues from the University of Wisconsin, Mike and Sheila Falvo, and my husband John. And so thank you for having us for this celebration, and thank you for advancing very important partnerships for education for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor. Now I want to invite, like we have invited congressmen and senators from here, now it's time for us to invite it from India, Member of Parliament from Delhi. I would like you to please give a round of applause to Mr. Hans Rajhans, who's a Member of Parliament from Delhi, to say his brief remarks.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, Sat Sri Akal, Namaskaram, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. I would like to extend my special gratitude to give me great chance to meet the great people. Basically, I am a singer. Recently, I diverted in politics. तो इतने बड़े लोगों में, इतने पावरफुल मुल्क में, इतने प्यारे लोगों में मैं क्या बोलूँ, मुझे मेरे ख्याल में वो आ रहा था कि मुझे तो होश नहीं, आप मशवरा दीजिए कहाँ से छेड़ू फसाना, कहाँ तमाम करना। और तालीवाल साहब का, संधू साहब का, चांसलर संधू साहब का, आप सब का मैं शुक्रगुजार हाँ, स्पैशली PM साहब जिन्होंने एक अदने जे बंदे नूं स्पैशली भेजा, सिरसा साहब की तशरीफ ले आए। मैं इतनी ही अर्ज करनी कि सद्भावना इस प्रोग्राम का नाम है कि असी वड्डे साहिब जगत गुरु गुरु नानक देव जी नूं मनण वाले लोग हैं, जिन्होंने तमाम दुनिया विच पैदल घूम के, उदों कोई जरिया भी नहीं सी, सद्भावना का सांझीवालता का पैगाम दिता सी ते क्या सी मानस की जात सब एक है पहचान। इस तरह ही अलग अलग टाइम बुद्ध आए, ईसा आए, राम आए, ये जो रब दे भेजे खास बंदे ये सानू सद्भावना का ही संदेश देंदे ने। हमारे प्राइम मिनिस्टर साहब के बारे 2 बुक्स लिखिया गई। बड़े फखर की गल है कि एक बुक इज अ बिग अचीवर एज वेल इज रनिंग यूनिवर्सिटी एज चांसलर संधू साहब, इनके प्लीज गिव हिम वेरी वेरी बिग हैंड। जिक्र फिक्र और चर्चा उन्हीं की होती है जिन्होंने कुछ किया हो। तो हमारे पीएम साहब जहाँ से उठे हैं वहाँ से उठना मुश्किल है। इतने गरीब घर से उठे और एक बादशाह का, एक रूलर का, एक मुल्क के जो हेड है, कंट्री हेड है, उसको इसीलिए लोग इस वजह से ही लाइक कर सकते हैं कि सबसे पहले उस कंट्री की और चारों तरफ सुरक्षा गार्ड हो, फिर वो सब धर्मों का एहतराम करते हो, फिर कोई कुदरती आफत हो जाए आ जाए जैसे कोरोना आया था तो रिसेंटली यूके के प्राइम मिनिस्टर भी तशरीफ लाए। उन्होंने कहा कि थैंक गॉड मैं बच गया हूँ, मैंने वैक्सीन इंडियन लगवाई थी। तो खुद इंडिया को भी प्रदान किया और पूरी दुनिया में वैक्सीन। जहाँ तक धर्मों का सवाल है, आपने देखा होगा कि जिस जगह जालिम हाकिम ने हिंद दी चादर गुरु तेग बहादुर दा सिर कलम करने का फरमान किया था, उसी जगह पे उनका गुरपुरब मनाना, उस तवारीख को बिल्कुल उल्ट कर देना, ये उन्हीं की हिस्से We are always used to pray कि बिछड़े हुए गुरधामा के दर्शन दे मालका। तो जो लांगा करतारपुर वाला उन्हें याद कर लो। बाकी सारी गल्लां डिटेल में आपने बता दी हैं, बताएंगे भी। मुझे तो इतना ही खूबसूरत बात लगती है कि जहां से वो उठे हैं उठना मुश्किल है। अल्लामा इकबाल बहुत बड़े बड़े सगीर के शायर हुए हैं। वो ऑक्सफोर्ड यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ाते थे, प्रोफेसर थे। किसी ने बोला कि आपका बेटा पढ़ाई की तरफ थोड़ा ध्यान कम दे रहा है, तो अपने बेटे को समझाने के लिए उन्होंने एक खत लिखा था। वो शेर बड़े मशहूर हुए, तो मैं वो वर्ष करता हूँ। उन्होंने लिखा था कि अपने मन में डूब के पाजा सुरागे जिंदगी, अपने मन में डूब के पाजा सुरागे जिंदगी, तू मेरा नहीं बनता ना बन, अपना तो बन। फिर वो एक बच्चा जो कभी चाय बेचता, क्या क्या नहीं उस शख्स ने किया, तो आखिर वो प्राइम मिनिस्टर बने इंडिया के। तो अल्लामा इकबाल ने आगे जाके बेटे को लिखा कि दयारे इश्क में अपना मकाम पैदा कर। हमारे एम्बेसडर संधू साहब, कोरोना ना होंदा तो कई टूर लाने सी, साडा मशवरा होया सी। मैं तुहाडी नजर कर रहा संधू साहब। दयारे इश्क में अपना मकाम पैदा कर, नया जमाना नई सुबह शाम पैदा कर। मेरा तरीक अमीरी नहीं, मेरी हिस्ट्री अमीरी नहीं। मेरा तरीक अमीरी नहीं, फकीरी है। खुद ही ना बेच, गरीबी में नाम पैदा कर। तो ऐसे ही लोग हुए हैं। एक मिसरा में गा भी देना, बेसिकली मैं एक्सपर्ट उसे चाहिए। कैन आई ਤੈਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੋਲਦਾ ਦਿਲ ਹਿੰਦੁਸਤਾਨੀ ਸੋਹਣੀਏ ਪਿਆਰ ਦੀ ਭਾਸ਼ਾ ਬੋਲਦਾ ਇਹ ਜੋਗੀ ਵੀ ਬਣ ਜਾਵੇ ਇਹ ਰੋਗੀ ਵੀ ਬਣ ਜਾਵੇ ਇਹ ਮੋਦੀ ਵੀ ਬਣ ਜਾਵੇ ਇਹ ਜੋਗੀ ਵੀ ਬਣ ਜਾਵੇ ਇਹ ਬੇਲੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਾਂਝਾ ਬਣ ਕੇ ਮੱਝੀਆਂ ਵੀ ਚਾਰਦਾ ਦਿਲ ਹਿੰਦੁਸਤਾਨੀ ਸੋਹਣੀਏ ਪਿਆਰ ਦੀ ਭਾਸ਼ਾ ਬੋਲਦਾ ਬੋਲੇ ਸੋਨੇ ਹਾਲ ਦੇ ਵੀ ਮਾਰ ਕੇ ਜਕਾਰੇ ਬੋਲੇ ਸੋਨੇ ਹਾਲ ਦੇ ਵੀ ਮਾਰ ਕੇ ਜਕਾਰੇ ਨਿਤਰੇ ਮੈਦਾਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਰੜੇ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਸਵਾ ਲੱਖ ਨਾਲ ਕੱਲਾ ਲੜੇ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਸਵਾ ਲੱਖ ਨਾਲ ਕੱਲਾ ਲੜੇ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਮੇਰੇ ਬਾਜਾਂ ਵਾਲੇ ਮਾਹੀ ਦਾ ਤੇ ਸੋਹਣੇ ਸੰਤ ਸਿਪਾਹੀ ਦਾ ਹੈ ਪੰਥ ਬੇਮਿਸਾਲ ਬੋਲੇ ਸੋਨਿਹਾ ਬੋਲੇ ਸੋਨਿਹਾ bole soneha. Just 2 lines for our American guest. I gave her money, I gave her time. This is the first time I'm singing in English, especially. Typical Telugu person. I gave her money, I gave her time, I gave her everything. She has promised with me she will love me forever. But now I am lonely. Please hold me, please carry me, please save me. Thank you very much. Dil chori sada. बड़ी देर बाद मुझे मौका मिला पर अभी तक गौर ही नहीं दिंदे. Thank you. वाहिगुरू जी का खालसा.
Thank you, buddy, for making it a singing and a laughter experience. Thank you so much. Sanjay ji, can you please go ahead?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to recognize a few more people on the floor. And when I say your name, will you be kind enough to please stand up and acknowledge? We will hold applause till all 4 have been introduced. First, I'd like to introduce Mr. Mike Falbo. Mr. Mike Falbo, UW Artside. Not only is his alma mater, he has been in a leadership position at the UW regions and is also emeritus regent of the University of Wisconsin. Also, I would like to recognize Mr. Mohanjit Singh Sani, Professor Mohanjit Singh Sani from Kellogg University, Delhi, eminent educator, and we are proud to have you in our midst. Mr. Marshall Goodman. Mr. Goodman, UW College, Artside, University of Wisconsin, College of Letters and Sciences, and Milwaukee Sun, now Provost at St. Jose. Welcome. And last but not least, Mr. Vivek Lal. Mr. Lal is the CEO of General Atomics. He has had positions in the defense industry, in virtually every known industry to us. So we welcome you as well. Please give these 4 gentlemen a loud applause.
And for those whose names I am sure you understand cannot be taken, all the names cannot be taken from the podium and the dais. Even a louder applause for all of you for being part of this wonderful event. You all are our dignitaries, VIPs, VVIPs, and we appreciate from the bottom of our heart. I would like to invite guest from India, the BJP leader, Mr. Manjinder Singh Sirsa, to please come on the stage and give his remarks, please.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here among the most powerful stage, His Excellency Sir Taranjit Singh Ji Sandhu Sahab, and the host of the day, Sir Darshan Singh Ji Dhaliwal, and a very special guest and also host, and who has written a wonderful book on the Honorable Prime Minister, Sandhu Sahab, Sir Surjit Singh Rakda Ji, Member of Parliament from India, Ansraj Ji. It has been a pleasure for all of us to be here, and especially on the day when Bharat Oberoi Ji and Darshan Dhaliwal Ji, Satnam Sandhu Ji has done a wonderful job of introducing our Prime Minister's books here. As we all know, the Honorable Prime Minister has been kind enough to give time to all of us, and he has a special bonding for Sikhs, though he has done a lot for this nation, but we must acknowledge the way he stood for the Sikhs and the bonding he has for Sikhs. We all have personally felt that may it be a Sandhu Sahab or a Dhaliwal Sahab. And I am really thankful for giving me such a wonderful opportunity here amongst our friends from America, from India, the senators, the speakers, and once again I am very thankful for Dhaliwal Ji and Sandhu Sahab for introducing me here. So kind of you. Thank you. And my special thanks to the all senators and the speakers. Good evening, America. Thanks, America. Thank you.
Thank you, Daddy. Thank you for being here. We want to play a couple videos, very interesting videos made on both the books. So we would like you to please pay attention on the screens, watch these videos, and then our chief guest will give his remarks and release both the books. Dr. Brian, can we play video 2, please? Thank you. Can we have the lights dim, please?
नरेंद्र दामोदर दास मोदी ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा।
Leader, statesman, visionary. In a journey spanning 20 years, Shri Narendra Modi has played many roles. As a 3-time Chief Minister of Gujarat, he led the state's transformation from relative underdevelopment to one of India's most prosperous and fastest growing states.
मॉडर्नाइजेशन का आविष्कार लेकिन मॉडर्नाइजेशन विदाउट
As a 2-term Prime Minister, he continues to unshackle India with far-reaching socio-economic reforms that has empowered 1.3 billion Indians in more ways than ever before. As a statesman, he's amongst a select few world leaders to simultaneously win the respect of nations that oppose each other. Modi as 20, dreams meet delivery, brings together intellectuals, policymakers, industry leaders, and experts across varied fields to chronicle the shaping of new India that is both in tune with its civilizational moorings as well as modern in outlook and achievements. Modi Acts 20 offers a holistic view of 2 decades of Narendra Modi. On 7th October 2021, Shri Modi completed 20 continuous years as head of democratically elected governments. 12.5 years as Chief Minister of Gujarat, and 7.5 years and counting as the Prime Minister of India. The phenomenon becomes unique when seen in the light that before 2001, Shri Modi had never held any elected office. Since then, he's remained undefeated in 5 consecutive elections: 2002, 2007 and 2012 as Chief Ministerial Candidate in Gujarat, 2014 and 2019 as Prime Ministerial Candidate. And his popularity has only grown with time. listen from the authors of the various chapters themselves as they take us through the unique insights that they offer in their respective chapters.
Narendra Modi's unstinting support to entrepreneurs, to the startup world, to people who build the nation through enterprise has been unstinting over his entire journey. And I've had the privilege of being associated with him through this entire period of 20 years.
Modi ji has repeatedly emphasized that our nation has transitioned from women's development to women-led development.
In my article, I have written that what a modular approach meant to him. How one project led to another project, then to the third project, and ultimately the final message was well-being of the masses. For him, it is nation which matters, and he always thought that he lived for the nation.
I've given a true incident. 20 years back, I met mother and a child. A mother was a cook. A child was going to school. And I met them and I talked to them. The lady, the mother, told me that she wants her daughter should become a receptionist. And that is her aim in life. Now, the girl has become an entrepreneur. I asked her why it happened, how it happened, and what is the reason. She said, I have changed in 20 years. Government is extremely supportive in all these schemes. And she went on telling that how her parents have a bank account. A great leader can inspire people. He can bring a wind of change in many directions. And that is what has happened in our country.
Gujarat's agriculture achieved a tremendous rate of growth of 9.2% per annum. This is unheard of in the Indian history of agriculture in any state. I would say this is the first time in the history of thousands of years of India. India has exported 20 million tons of rice in 21-22 in a global market of about 50 million tons.
PM Modi says that India's attitude towards meeting its goals has changed from chalta hai to badal sakta hai, which has struck a chord with him. This is the same attitude that a young person brings to whatever he or she approaches. It is the same attitude that PM Modi has shown in governance too.
I've looked deeply at the environmental and ecological leadership provided by Mr. Modi, including on issues related to climate change. Mr. Modi has shown that development and sustainability can coexist.
Our culture has been, in a sense, under attack for a long time. And my chapter explores what Prime Minister Modi has done consistently, and even earlier what he did in his role as a Chief Minister. Prime Minister Modi has focused not just on Kashi Vishwanath temple, but one explores various other temple towns that have been revived. And it's not just the worship places of Hindus, but the worship places of all other religions that exist in India.
Something unique about the Prime Minister is his ability to carry out schemes on scale. So we mentioned Aadhaar, then there was Jan Dhan, Swachh Bharat. Now we are seeing another very, very big initiative underway, which is the Nal Se Jal.
I asked the bystander why he supported Modi. The young boy confidently said, क्योंकि सपने दिखाना सिखाया है हमें मोदी जी ने, हमारे प्राइम मिनिस्टर जी. People trust Modi ji because he delivers. It is his success that has strengthened public trust in his leadership.
This book is not only a must-read for those interested in political science and governance, but it's also a masterclass in communications, in personal development, and in management studies.
In last 7 years, he has brought a tremendous change, tremendous excitement, not only for India, but also for Indian American community. And I would really like to say that worldwide community, worldwide Indian diaspora.
I worked in different parts of the world. I know how the health system works. No country in the world could have vaccinated 150 crore people in such a short period of time. It's simply not possible.
but we have done it. So essentially, India has managed to prove that we can do amazing things, provided we have a leader like Mr. Modi.
It is his appreciation of the possibilities of technology which has enabled digital India, now entering what is called as the tech decade or techade. And just as we use technology to build Aadhaar, the Jam Trinity, many more things are happening. India is a digital leader in financial transactions done digitally. And this again is thanks to the big push that Prime Minister Modi gave UPI in the years after 2016.
A deeply nationalistic figure, someone who's almost driven by his desire to take India to a higher level, and the same nationalistic figure is actually very international, with an enormous curiosity about the world. So this nationalist, internationalist paradox that he represents is one part of it. The other, of course, is a leader who's very steeped in our history and culture, but who still realizes the promise of technology, who has a great belief in the power of science, who again uses one to reinforce the attractiveness and the strength of the other. There's a very strong orthodoxy about foreign policy. And I find it very fascinating about Prime Minister Modi that he had both the ability, the determination, and in some ways the vision to challenge that orthodoxy. I mean, I begin with how he actually, at the first swearing in, the idea of getting all our neighboring leaders to India was itself was a departure from traditional diplomacy as we know it. So in that sense, in the domain of foreign policy, certainly was a breath of fresh air.
Here is a man who dared to dream big, because India is a country of a size of 1.4 billion people that needs leaders who can imagine big initiatives and can implement them on a scale. I am particularly delighted that I was tasked with the responsibility of writing a chapter on thinking big and executing in scale.
How do you deliver female empowerment is through sanitation. And the whole toilet program, providing toilets for every house, was a major campaign, a very, very successful campaign.
As economists, we generally keep our focus on a few macro indicators. But if you look at the real economy of India, bringing down open defecation or giving access to over 100 million toilets within the first 4 or 5 years of governance, I think has been one of the biggest achievements of Prime Minister Modi.
I tried to report how and why Modi is winning elections continuously for 20 years with 3 assembly and 2 general elections with full majority. In fact, he never sat on opposition benches. Over the years of my election study suggests winning elections means winning the heart of the people, and it cannot be faked. Let's try to understand the Modi magic, the art and the science behind it.
मैं इतना ही कह सकता हूं कि जो लोग भारत के सर्वांगीण और सर्वसमावेशी विकास में विश्वास करते हैं, जो लोग एक संपूर्ण व्यक्तित्व किस तरह से निर्मित हो इसके रास्ते पर विश्वास करते हैं, इस सभी लोगों के लिए, विशेषकर समाज सेवा और राजनीति के क्षेत्र में काम करने वाले सभी लोगों के लिए ये पुस्तक एक गीता बनकर आने वाले दिनों में उभरने वाला है। क्योंकि मैंने मोदी जी के साथ सालों से काम किया है, मैं बेरोक किसी झिझक के बगैर कह सकता हूं, हर सोच में देश की सोच सबसे ऊपर और सबसे ज्यादा है। और इसीलिए आज 130 करोड़ की आबादी के मन में विश्वास है, जब देश की शताब्दी मनाई जाएगी हम एक महान भारत को देख पाएंगे। ये जो आत्मविश्वास 130 करोड़ में प्रत्यारोपित करने का काम नरेंद्र मोदी कर पाए हैं, क्योंकि उनके खुद के अंदर अनन्य राष्ट्रभक्ति से कूट कर ईश्वर ने उनको बनाया है। मित्रों, और प्रामाणिकता, पारदर्शिता, इसके बारे में मोदी जी के विरोधी भी उन पर कोई आरोप नहीं कर सकते।
Dreams became delivery, because at the end of the day, delivery is more important. Delivery to the people. And this book aptly describes the various initiatives, thoughts, its vision, and its implementation and success of those dreams. Is Narendra Modi, as Chief Minister and Prime Minister, converted developmental initiatives into such a mass movement. I remember when we were launching this Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, Prime Minister told me, I was Minister at the time, urban development. He told me, Venkaiah ji, इसको एक सरकार का कार्यक्रम का रूप नहीं देना, इसको एक राजनीतिक कार्यक्रम का रूप नहीं देना। मेरा मन में आश्चर्य कि राजनीतिक नहीं, सरकार ने तो और क्या है। उन्होंने कहा इसको एक जन आंदोलन का रूप देना चाहिए, जन आंदोलन, जन भागीदारी।
With prosperity and safety, with opportunity and support, with one and all for development, Shri Narendra Modi's 20 years in public office have been nothing less than an epoch-making tenure. With each passing day, his commitment to uplift the people of India across caste, creed, sect and religion only strengthens and continues to be the beacon that guides 1.3 billion Indians to greater heights. Modi at 20, Dreams Meets Delivery, is an important chronicle of our times. It is now available in all retail outlets and all online platforms. This book is now yours to ignite debates and discussions. Happy reading.
Since we had little technical difficulties, the other video is a short video too. We would like you to please pay attention to that, and then we will have our chief guest speak to you and release those books. Can we play video one, please? Thank you.
Moments of sorrows and tears were scripted in our way, time and again. Be it sacrificing our lives for our community or for our beloved nation. From the struggle for independence that called for our service, to the infamous massacre that squandered the peace at the Nankana site, or from the never-to-be-forgotten Morcha Guru Gaba to the endless horror and misery caused due to partition 1947, or the tragedy that will haunt generations 1984. The agony and pain of the nightmare gone by did subsided with the passage of time, for the memories shivered the souls for years to come. At the turn of decade, the year 2014 saw the dawn of a new era, gleaming the nation with a ray of hope.
Narendra Damodar Das Modi.
It is then the whiff of a calming breeze soothed our moods, bringing relief and pleasure after a long time. Every decision and action from Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi was a reflection of his aura of love and affection. We were made to believe that he was sent by our Lord Almighty to show us the path of rejuvenation for the welfare of all community. Be it affliction caused by heinous massacre of 1984 or the ultimate wish of every Sikh to bow thy head at the Sri Kartarpur Sahib, the Government of India, under the able leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, has inked many historic rulings in favor of Sikh community. He pacified the tense relations with our neighboring countries, giving due respect and importance to the feelings of Sikh community. The needful was done to ensure the uninterrupted fulfillment of their duties towards their religion. The Modi government passed an important judgment to give clean slate to blacklisted NRI sects, giving them the opportunity to meet their near and dear ones in India. This ruling that enabled NRI sects to apply and obtain Indian visa and OCI card and having the fortuity to connect with their motherland was appraised by one and all. Thanks to the unbiased and strong governance of Modi government, decades-old FCRA registration controversy associated with Darbar Sahib was resolved. By way of historic ruling in September 2020, Shri Darbar Sahib was accorded the authority of FCRA registration. This landmark step has permitted Sikh communities distanced thousands of miles away to strengthen their religious sentiments attached with Darbar Sahib. Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi made it personal objective to preserve the relics of the famous Lakhpat Sahib Gurdwara, including wooden footwear and palki, along with manuscripts and marking scripts of Gurumukhi. This gesture from Prime Minister showed his deep reverence for the faith, as has been reflected in multiple recent endeavors.
लखपत में गुरुद्वारा का भूकंप में नुकसान हुआ था। मैं वहां गया देखने के लिए, बड़ा दर्द हुआ। तो मैं ऐसे ऐसे कारीगरों को लाया राजस्थान उधर बाहर से कि वैसा ही मुझे गुरुद्वारा बना के दो जो गुरु नानक देव जी के जहाँ चरण पड़े थे।
The affection of Prime Minister Modi towards Sikh people is clearly evident. He has asked the government to return 325 crore GST that was applied on langars in Gurudwaras, including easing the financial burden on religious places accumulated due to various taxes. Prime Minister has taken many important steps to promote and promulgate the preachings of Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji that were for the betterment of the humanity. It is his efforts that made it all possible that the 550th Prakash Parv of Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji was celebrated at such a grand scale. It is because of the persistent request from him that the holy scriptures of Sikhism are now being published in many different languages. Mata Gujri, Sri Guru Gobind Singh Ji, and the bravery and valor of Char Sahibzade are a source of inspiration for the entire humanity. Giving the due respect to the Char Sahibzade and with the objective to pay them tribute for their selfless sacrifice, 26th December has been marked as a day of national importance by the Government of India. The unparalleled example set by Baba Fateh Singh Ji, Baba Zorawar Singh Ji for the betterment of humanity has been brought to limelight and before the entire world with this move. A grand celebration was held on the 400th Prakash Parv of Sri Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, and addressing the nation on his occasion shows the regard and appreciation Sri Narendra Modi Ji has for the Sikh community, for giving Sikh community the respect that they deserved and to acknowledge the contribution that he has made. We had compiled a book titled Heartfelt, The Legacy of Faith. This book is an ode to the efforts and work that Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi has done for the betterment of the Sikh community. The goodwill journey that started on 14th April 2022 with the launch of Heartfelt, The Legacy of Faith.
आज बैसाखी भी है और ये हमारे सिख पंथ के सर्जना दिवस के रूप में गुरु गोविंद सिंह जी को भी हम याद करते हैं और उनसे प्रेरणा लेकर के जो समाज के लिए उन्होंने काम किया, जो गुरु नानक साहब और सभी 10 गुरुओं ने काम किया, उन सब के जो टीचिंग्स हैं उससे भी हम प्रेरणा लेते हैं। तो बैसाखी के इस शुभ अवसर पर जहाँ मैं आप सबको शुभकामनाएं देता हूँ, वहीं यह पवित्र कार्य जो आज बुक लॉन्च हुआ है, ये बहुत ही ऐसे दिन पर हुआ जो बहुत ही पवित्र दिन है और इसके लिए भी मैं आयोजकों को बधाई देता हूँ कि उन्होंने इस काम की पहल की है।
और मैं अभिनंदन देती हूँ संत साहब आपको कि आपने आक्रोश में नहीं बल्कि इंसानियत का जामा पहनाकर उस सत्य को इस पुस्तक के माध्यम से भी प्रकाशित करने का साहस दिखाया। आज अगर उन पांचों स्तंभों की बात करें, एक विषय उसमें संतोष का है, सेल्फलेस सर्विस का है। और हम सब हमेशा इस सोच में रहते हैं कि जब नरेंद्र भाई ने HCRA का रजिस्ट्रेशन दरबार साहब की पुण्य चरणों में अर्पित करवाया, तो प्रश्न उठा कि वर्षों वर्ष से मांग रही। ऐसा नहीं था कि सिख समुदाय की इस मांग को पहले किसी सरकार ने सुना ना, सुनकर अनदेखा कर देना, वो भी अपने आप में समुदाय के प्रति कितना बड़ा विश्वासघात था। मैं आज अभिभूत हूं कि संधू साहब आपने इस पुस्तक के माध्यम से उस सच को भी संतोष की दृष्टि से उजागर किया।
It's an honor for NID Foundation, which has laid the stone and foundation for developing the nation to the Vishwa Guru pedestal which it always belonged to. And thank you to the one and only, the Honorable Prime Minister, the real reason for placing communal harmony at top and keeping Sikh and Sikhism at its pedestal height.
Continued with the presentation of the book to Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi on 29th April.
NID फाउंडेशन के मुख्य संरक्षक एवं चंडीगढ़ यूनिवर्सिटी के चांसलर, मेरे मित्र सतनाम श्री संधू जी, NID फाउंडेशन के सभी सदस्यगण, हमारे भारतीय डायस्पोरा को तो मैं हमेशा भारत का राष्ट्रदूत मानता रहा।
प्रधानमंत्री जी ने दुनिया भर से जितने भी सिख नुमाइंदा लोग आए थे उनके साथ इतना समय व्यतीत किया है, सद्भावना की बात हुई है, देश की प्रगति की भी बात हुई है, और आने वाले समय में देश अमृतकाल में जा रहा है, जैसे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने हमें एक नया एक विजन दिया है। तो मेरा ख्याल है कि ऐसा इवेंट शायद पहली बार हुआ है, और जितना विशाल हृदय हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने दिखाया सिखों के लिए, इससे बड़ी सद्भावना की मिसालें हो सकती है।
ये बड़ी मुद्दत बाद देश में एक ऐसा प्राइम मिनिस्टर नसीब होया जिसदियां बाहां सारियां दी खुलियां और जो सारियां दे प्यार विच ही अपने जीवन को समर्पित कर रहे हैं।
It talks about seva. It talks about the fact in our Gavani teachings about Naam Japo, Kirat Karo, Divan Chapo. And we see that Prime Minister ne, he has had a chance to practice not only believing in the values and the teachings of our Gurujis, but he has had the opportunity to really ensure that he practices that on a day-to-day basis. So to Prime Minister Modi ji, on behalf of all Sikhs from all over the world, we want to say thank you for listening and thank you for ensuring that you continue your seva for so many of the issues that are important to Sikhs all over the world.
I was shocked the amount of contribution जो मोदी साहब ने किया है सिखों के लिए, and it's very grateful because 1984 एक बहुत sensitive issue है NRI Sikhs के लिए, उसके लिए जब मैंने Google किया इतनी videos उसके ऊपर है for Mr. Modi providing justice after 30 years for the families, blacklist को abolish करना, 314 नाम थे, 312 नाम उसके ऊपर डिलीट करा देने, and allowing them people to come back to India, ये बहुत बड़ी achievement है सिखों के लिए। करतारपुर कॉरिडोर खोलना, all in his tenure. This is so great. It's an honor to be here.
Kartarpur corridor, why do we measure it? Well, now you may say that both the government agreed, but who has taken the initiative? Prime Minister Modi. He has taken the initiative, he has helped us and got this thing done.
It's the best thing that Dr. Sandhu has done, that got all the people together to thank Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister, what he has done for the Sikhs in the last 7-8 years, and we are hoping that he's going to do a lot more what he has done. He has done more things than anybody else has done in 70 years.
Today, as we gather here at the first Vishwa Sadbhavana event in Chicago, to be followed by New Zealand and Australia, we are delighted to welcome our distinguished guests and present before you all a copy of this book, which holds great significance for the Sikh community. Welcome on this journey of goodwill.
Thank you so much. Greatly appreciate your patience. So with that, I want to acknowledge Dr. J.M. Vyas, VC of NSFU, and Padam Shri awardee. He's here. If you can please stand up where he's sitting. Dr. Vyas. Right here. Thank you, sir. Next, I want to invite on the stage the author of the video, the last video you saw, Heartfelt Legacy. The author is none only but Satnam Singh Sandhu. Mr. Sandhu is the chief patron of NID Foundation, founder, chancellor of Chandigarh University. He's the founder of Chandigarh Welfare Trust, and he's also an ambassador of Sustainable Developmental Goals in India for United Nations. Let me just tell something on a personal note about Mr. Sandhu. He was a great host when we were all there at this event, and also he hails from a village where there was no school. So hailing from that and coming back from this background where there was no school in that remote area of Punjab, he has brought this youngest university in the world on the top 800 universities in the world and made it as one of the biggest world-class institutions named as Chandigarh University. So with your permission, Sardar Satnam Singh Sandhu, please give a round of applause to him. Thank you.
नमस्कार, वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह। मेरा काम आसान करके हंस जी पहला हिंदी ते फिर पंजाबी विच रस्ता खोल गए। थोड़ा धन्यवाद। मंच ते विराजमान अज दे मुख्य मेहमान संधू साहब, मैं धन्यवाद करना तुसीं अज बहुत उचेचा समा कढ के इस समागम की शोभा बढ़ाने वास्ते पुजी हो। पर मैं दिल दी गहराइयां दे विचों धन्यवाद करना चाहना धालीवाल साहब, दर्शन सिंह जी धालीवाल, पूरे धालीवाल परिवार का, और खास करके मेरे बहुत ही आदरणीय श्री भरतभाई जी का, जिनके इनिशिएटिव से आज का ये समागम संभव हो पाया है। मैंने जब इस इवेंट का प्लान करने के लिए धालीवाल साहब से बात की और भरतभाई जी से बात की, तो मन में बड़ा शंका था कि इवेंट कैसे ऑर्गेनाइज होगा यूएस में। और जब भी मीटिंग करनी, भरत साहब ने मिनट टू मिनट प्रोग्राम इतनी डिटेलिंग की कि कोई फ्लॉ ना रह जाए। और धालीवाल साहब ने हमेशा वो जट्टा वाला सुभाव कि परवाह ना करो जी, तुम देखो इवेंट बल्ले बल्ले करा देंगे। धालीवाल साहब तुम करके दिखा देता। थोड़ा धन्यवाद। जिवें खैरा साहब ने दसिया, मैं तो बहुत निमाणा जा इंसान हाँ। मेरे घर च कोई पढ़िया लिखा नहीं सी, और जिस पिंड मैं बिलोंग करता, मेरे पिंड के स्कूल भी नहीं सीगा। सारे पिंड के कोई पढ़िया लिखा नहीं सीगा, 10वीं तक नहीं गया सी। पर वाहिगुरू ने बख्शिश की, जिवें दसिया गया कि एक छोटी जी संस्था खड़ी करने का मौका मिला। अज साडे देश की सब तो वड्डी यूनीवर्सिटी मैं कहने का फखर महसूस करदा, एक नवाणा होके भी 65,000 विद्यार्थी ते वर्ल्ड रैंकिंग च आने वाली दुनिया की सब तो यंगेस्ट यूनीवर्सिटी बनी सिर्फ वाहिगुरू की कृपा नाल। और एक फर्ज समझते हुए, एक जिम्मेवारी का एहसास समझते हुए, क्योंकि मैं कोई पॉलिटिशियन नहीं है और ना ही मेरा पॉलिटिक्स के विच कोई इंटरस्ट है, लेकिन मैं समझा कि अगर मैनू ये सेवा का मौका मिले तो मैं क्यों ना अपने वतन वास्ते, अपने देश वास्ते कुछ पे बैक करा। और वो निमाणी जी कोशिश शुरू करते करते असी इस काबिल हुए कि 200 रिसर्चर असी अपनी नेशन बिल्डिंग के वास्ते, रिसर्च करने वास्ते असी हायर किया। जिवें कि तुसीं सारे महसूस करते हो कि असी काम बहुत अच्छे किए। साडी विरासत, साडा इतिहास बाकमाल है, लेकिन असी उसके ऊपर खोज नहीं कर सके, असी रिसर्च नहीं कर पाए। लेकिन असी कोशिश की। देश आज़ादी का अमृत महोत्सव मना रहा है। 75 साल हो गए देश को आज़ाद होया, और असी एक खोज की कि 75 सालों के विच 75 प्रधानमंत्री लाल किला तो अपना भाषण दे के गए, और हर प्रधानमंत्री ने अपनी स्पीच दे विच देश को की विजन दिता और देश को की अगवाई दी। और जदों असी वो रिसर्च कंप्लीट की तो साड़ियां अखां खुल गई ਕਿ 2014 ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਦੇਸ਼ ਇੱਕ ਨਵੀਂ ਦਿਸ਼ਾ ਵੱਲ ਜਦੋਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਸਨਮਾਨਯੋਗ ਪ੍ਰਧਾਨ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਨਰਿੰਦਰ ਮੋਦੀ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਬਾਗਡੋਰ ਸੰਭਾਲੀ, ਉਸ ਪਾਸੇ ਤੁਰਿਆ। ਔਰ ਉਸੇ ਰਿਸਰਚ ਦਾ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਮਹਾਰਾਜਾ ਰਣਜੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਕਿਸ ਨੇ ਕੀ ਕੀਤਾ। ਉਹ ਅੰਕੜੇ ਦੱਸੇ ਗਏ ਨੇ, ਪੂਰੀ ਫੈਕਚੁਅਲ ਬੁੱਕ ਹੈ, ਇੱਕ ਵੀ ਆਪਣਾ ਓਪੀਨੀਅਨ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੈਂਸ਼ਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ। ਔਰ ਸਾਡੀਆਂ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਖੁੱਲ ਗਈਆਂ ਕਿ ਸਿਰਫ ਤੇ ਸਿਰਫ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਨਰਿੰਦਰ ਮੋਦੀ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਸਮੇਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਹਾਰਾਜਾ ਰਣਜੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਹੋਰਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਅਗਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਉਹ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪੁਸਤਕ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਵੀ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ, ਵੀਡੀਓ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਦੇਖਿਆ। ਅੱਜ 2 ਪੁਸਤਕਾਂ ਇਸ ਸਮਾਗਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲਾਂਚ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਗਈਆਂ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਚਰਚਾ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਕੰਟੈਕਸਟ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਹੋ। ਮੈਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ, ਸਿਰਫ 2 ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਹਿਣੀਆਂ ਚਾਹਾਂਗਾ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਬੁੱਕ ਸਮਰਪਿਤ ਹੈ ਮੋਦੀ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਸ਼ਾਸਨ ਨੂੰ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਗਵਰਨੈਂਸ ਨੂੰ, ਔਰ ਸਿਰਫ 2 ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਦੇਸ਼ ਤੋਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਸ਼ਾਸਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਭ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਟਾਚਾਰ ਦਾ ਕਲੰਕ ਲਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ, ਭਾਰਤ ਨੂੰ ਭ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਟਾਚਾਰ ਮੁਕਤ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ, ਔਰ ਦੂਸਰਾ ਪਰਿਵਾਰਵਾਦ ਦਾ ਕਲੰਕ ਵੀ ਮੋਦੀ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਦੇਸ਼ ਦੇ ਮੱਥੇ ਤੋਂ ਲਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ। ਖਾਨਦਾਨ ਚੱਲਦੇ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਫਲਾਣੇ ਦਾ ਖਾਨਦਾਨ, ਫਲਾਣੇ ਦਾ ਖਾਨਦਾਨ, ਉਹ ਨਿਮਾਣਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਮਾਣ ਦੇਣ ਵਾਲੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਰਵਾਇਤ ਪਾਈ ਆ। ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਜੀ ਭੁੱਲ ਕੇ ਗਏ ਆ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਗਰੀਬ ਨੂੰ ਬੁਲਾ ਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ MP ਬਣਾਇਆ। ਐਸੀਆਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਉਦਾਹਰਨਾਂ। ਔਰ ਦੂਸਰੀ ਪੁਸਤਕ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਵੀ ਕਾਰਜ ਕੀਤੇ ਆ ਉਹ ਦਰਜ ਕੀਤੇ ਗਏ ਆ, ਸਿਰਫ ਇਹ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋਏ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਗੁਰੂਆਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਜੋ ਰਸਤਾ ਦਿਖਾਇਆ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਅਕਿਰਤ ਘਰ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡਾ ਕੋਈ ਭਾਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਧਰਤੀ ਤੇ, ਔਰ ਸਿੱਖ ਕੌਮ ਕਦੇ ਵੀ ਅਕਿਰਤ ਘਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਇੱਕ ਕਦਮ ਚੱਲ ਕੇ ਆਵੇ ਤੇ ਸਿੱਖ 2 ਕਦਮ ਨਾ ਜਾਵੇ। ਉਹ ਨਿਮਾਣੇ ਜੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ। ਮੈਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਸਮਾਂ ਨਾ ਲੈਂਦਾ ਹੋਇਆ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਵਿਸ਼ਵ ਸਦਭਾਵਨਾ ਦੇ ਬੈਨਰ ਦੇ ਹੇਠ ਆਪਣੇ ਦੇਸ਼ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰਧਾਨ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਰਪਿਤ ਇਸ ਸਮਾਗਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸ਼ਿਰਕਤ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ ਹੋ। ਇਹ ਉਹੀ ਵਿਸ਼ਵ ਸਦਭਾਵਨਾ ਜਿਹਦੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਨੇ 4 ਉਦਾਸੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਸਮੇਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀ, ਉਸੇ ਦੀ ਕੜੀ ਦੇ ਤਹਿਤ ਅੱਜ ਇੱਥੇ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ ਹਾਂ। ਆਪ ਸਭ ਦਾ ਦਿਲ ਦੀਆਂ ਗਹਿਰਾਈਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ। ਜੈ ਹਿੰਦ।
Thank you, Mr. Sandhu. Next, I want to invite our Consul General of Chicago, who you all know doesn't need any introduction. He has done a lot for the community, especially during this COVID times, helped the community 24/7, whichever and whatever way they can from all the consulate office. Now I will give him a round of applause. Amit ji, please come to the podium. Our dear Consul General Amit Kumar ji. And then I'm going to ask him to please introduce our chief guest of the evening, His Excellency Ambassador Taranjit Singh Ji Sandhu, who we have done a lot of Zoom meeting, but I think this is his first visit in Midwest just in his presence. So I would like Mr. Amit ji to please introduce our chief guest also.
Namaskar. Namaskar, good evening and Sat Sri Akal, distinguished dignitaries and guests. At the outset, I would like to thank Mr. Darshan Singh Dhaliwal, Dr. Bharat Barai and members of the organizing committee for this wonderful evening. It is a matter of distinct pleasure and honor for me to introduce His Excellency Ambassador of India to the United States of America, Mr. Taranjit Singh Sandhu. Ambassador Sandhu is one of our senior most diplomats. He is also one of our most experienced diplomats on US affairs, having served in the Indian mission in Washington, D.C. twice earlier. Ambassador Sandhu joined the Indian Foreign Service in 1988. Prior to taking up his current assignment, he was our High Commissioner in Sri Lanka. In a distinguished career spanning over 3 decades, he has also served in Frankfurt, New York, Moscow, and Kyiv. In the Ministry of External Affairs, he has worked as Director General of the United Nations Division and Administration Division, as well as in other key roles. His 3 stints in Washington, D.C. and 1 in New York provide Ambassador a unique vantage point of having witnessed the remarkable transformation of India-US partnership over the years. During his current stint, our relations with the United States have further expanded and deepened despite the COVID-19 pandemic. We have seen intensified interaction at the high political level, at the level of cabinet ministers and senior officials. There has also been growth in several areas of functional cooperation, including healthcare and pandemic management, energy, climate change and sustainable development, technology, startups, and higher education, and so on. As the Consul General of India to the US Midwest, and here I really speak on behalf of my fellow Consul Generals in the US, we all have tremendously benefited from Ambassador's vast experience and deep insights on India-US relations, on diaspora engagement, as well as on implementing Prime Minister Modi's government's vision of citizen-centric and outcome-oriented development agenda, and how our foreign policy through its network of embassies and consulates can contribute to that effort. The COVID-19 pandemic delayed Ambassador's visit to Chicago. A previous visit in January had to be shifted to virtual mode due to the Omicron variant then. He only recently visited Indianapolis in May, but I am confident that these visits are only the initial ones to the US Midwest, and we look forward to welcoming Ambassador back to the region sooner than later. Thank you.
With that, I would like you to please continue giving a round of applause to our chief guest, Ambassador Karanjit Singh Sandhu.
Senator Johnson, who just left, I had a wonderful conversation with him. I see two congressmen from Wisconsin, and there's Speaker Rob. Then, of course, the organizers for this wonderful program today are Dr. Satnam Sandhu, Darshan Taliwal, my old friend Bharat Barai, and of course, another old friend, Vishwa Sadbhavana. I also believe we have a number of educationists amongst us. The Chancellor of University of Wisconsin, we have Dr. Vyas, we have Professor Hemani Sood, and of course my colleagues from the embassy and consulate. Also the hosts of this hotel, the Kuman brothers, distinguished guests. Vaheguru Ji da Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Fateh, Namaskar, Vanakkam. It's wonderful to see all of you here. I think maybe a week or 2 weeks back, I met some of you in Washington, D.C. Spring is here, and it's a season of hope, vibrancy, and possibilities. And it's wonderful to finally, as one of my earlier speakers mentioned here, to come to Chicago. Of course, I have been to Chicago in my earlier postings, but this time around, whenever we planned, I think COVID got better of us. As Amit just mentioned, for the new year I was going to be here, but the strike of Omicron that time, I had to cancel it. Also, this time, as they say, every situation has its own reality. So, it's a very important reason today that I'm able to come. We are launching 2 books on Prime Minister and his inspiring journey over the last 2 decades. And this is a special moment as we celebrate the 2nd edition of the Sadbhavana program. Friends, the world is going through difficult times. You are all aware of the global pandemic, the economic recession, the geopolitical and geoeconomic developments. But I am reminded of what former US President Barack Obama said. He said, "Let me tell you something. I am from Chicago and I don't break." I too learned never giving spirit in my school, and we do need to imbibe that strong and resilient approach in current times and further our partnerships. I'm also reminded of Swami Vivekananda, especially since I'm in Chicago, and his famous address at the World Parliament of Religions. His powerful words, and I quote, "We believe not only in universal toleration, but we accept all religions as true." Friends, for me, it's a nostalgic moment because I've been fortunate to be an active participant of the last 8 years of journey of India under Prime Minister's leadership. So this evening, I will try to give a bird's eye view of how the Prime Minister led the transformation of our bilateral relationships with the United States. It was Winston Churchill who said, "To improve is to change. To be perfect is to change often." The changes that we have seen in this relationship in the last few years have been unprecedented. It has surpassed some of the most optimistic of our expectations. Who could have thought before 2014 that a US president will be the chief guest at India's Republic Day? That an Indian Prime Minister could surpass the NBA crowd at Madison Square Garden? That an Indian Prime Minister would get record standing ovations almost every minute throughout his address to the US Congress in 2016. That the US would grant India major defense partner relationship, which is the basis of our strong collaboration in defense and strategic sectors today. That India and US would sign all 3 foundational agreements in defense, as is the case today. I don't know if all of you know that India and the United States do more bilateral military exercises with each other today than with any other country. Our bilateral defense trade, which was $0 in the late 90s, is more than $20 billion now. Similarly, our energy trade, which 5 years ago was $0, stands at $20 billion today. We will have summit-level Quad meetings, such robust working mechanisms on several practical areas of collaboration under the Quad. Our bilateral trade today has surpassed $160 billion in 22, despite a global pandemic, supply chain constraints, and in absence of a free trade agreement between our countries. I can go on and on. The External Affairs Minister, Dr. Jaishankar, who was my former ambassador here in the US, and friends like Dr. Bharat Barai have written beautifully on many of the above aspects which I have touched. Dr. Jaishankar ends his chapter on India's foreign policy in the book so aptly, and I quote, "A foreign policy which has national interest at its core, but in a manner that is harmonized with global good." It says everything just in a sentence. Prime Minister Modi understood the potential of this relationship right at the start, having traveled widely in the US decades before he became the Prime Minister. In the United States, he saw a close friend and a strong partner who is critical to transforming the dreams and the development aspirations of nearly 1.4 billion Indians into reality. He also saw that this is one of the most consequential relationships, not just for our two countries, but for the world at large. The Prime Minister shaped the relationship with his own vision and showed that tangible outcomes are possible with focused and regular action. As a wise man has said, a leader is the one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. Friends, I have dealt with this relationship for nearly 25 years in my career. As a young congressional officer in the late 90s to Deputy Ambassador, and now as Ambassador since 2020. I often compare India-US relations in recent years to an action-packed thriller movie where by the time you realize what had happened, the story has already moved on to the next level. The pace, speed, depth, scope has been incredibly high, and it all comes from the leadership at the top. We have overcome the hesitations of history. As Prime Minister Modi said in the US Congress in 2016, and I quote him, US-India relationships have overcome the hesitations of history. Comfort, candor, and convergence define our conversations. The increasing trust between our two countries is an important function of this equation today. And Prime Minister Modi played the most important role in building this trust between our two great nations. People often ask me what have been the most momentous times I recall dealing with this relationship. Two events stand apart. The Madison Square Garden in 2014 and Prime Minister's address to the US Congress in 2016. And I will explain. The MSG was a path breaker in every sense. It reflected the first direct widespread outreach to the diaspora, which Prime Minister Modi himself described as the living bridge. And I quote him, "Connecting our two nations is also a unique and dynamic bridge of the millions of Indian Americans, all of you here." It was a deeply uniting moment for both India and the United States. The Prime Minister was the catalyst. Many of the congressmen and senators who witnessed the event called the Prime Minister a rock star. You will remember that. Many of the diaspora events have happened in capitals thereafter, but this was the first of its kind, and the excitement, I'm sure friends like Dr. Bharat Barai here would agree with this. And many of you may not remember, but it was at the Madison Square Garden that Prime Minister Modi announced the merger of PIO and OCI cards and several of the concessions that many of the speakers mentioned before. The US Congress address was equally special for me, having started my association with the United States with the US Congress as a congressional officer in the late 90s. As I mentioned, I recall, and you can see it on the YouTube, the number of standing ovations which the Prime Minister got. And the most touching moment was when the congressmen and the senators rushed to the Prime Minister at the end of his speech to get their copies of the speech autographed. This moment was captured by the New York Times in an iconic picture on its front page, and it said it all. Incidentally, in the Capitol, Prime Minister paid tribute to the portrait of Dalip Singh Saun, the first Asian American to be elected to the US Congress. And if you look closely at those videos today, you will see the then Vice President Biden in the chair, along with a friend of Darshan Dhaliwal, Paul Ryan. Friends, another vertical of foreign policy which I have been closely associated, and I would like to share here, that is Prime Minister's lead in the neighborhood first policy as well. I've seen it firsthand as ambassador in Sri Lanka. His two historic visits to Sri Lanka, one for the Vesak, which is Buddha Purnima, as well as to the upcountry, captivated the whole of Sri Lanka. In fact, the top Buddhist Mahanayake complimented Prime Minister's knowledge and respect for Buddhism in a conversation with me. His solidarity visit soon after the Easter bombing last in 2019 was equally touching. Floods in Sri Lanka in 2017, earthquake in Nepal, the Indian assistance reached these countries within 12 hours. This is a testimony that India is there for friends during any difficult time. Just a few days back, Indian aircrafts landed in Afghanistan soon after the massive earthquake with relief supplies for the distressed people. Finally, before I conclude, friends, I'll just like to say a few words regarding faith and trust, which is an important element of the second book. These are both very important elements of our lives. They are important for individuals, they are important between individuals, they are important in society, they are important between societies. We all know they are important within countries, and they are important between countries. I have learned about faith at very close vision, especially from my family, which has been very strongly connected with the faith. I don't know if many of you know, but I'm sure Sirsa Saab knows, that my grandfather, Sardar Teja Singh Mundri, died in Lahore jail in 1926 while in British custody. His sacrifice was closely connected with the faith and trust of the people of Punjab. The SGPC, which is written in this book, was born out of that sacrifice. And today, within the Darbar Sahib complex, there is a building which honors his memory. Second, I learned very closely from my father, Sardar Vishwa Singh Mundri, who was Vice Chancellor of Guru Nanak Dev University. Every morning, he used to go to Darbar Sahib. That was the truth. With that, he got his strength, and he was involved in establishing, since there are a number of educationalists here, and that's going to be my final point, especially for Dr. Sandhu here. He was very closely associated with the establishment of Punjab Agriculture University and Guru Nanak Dev University. Those have played an important role in strengthening Punjab and giving strength and, as we say, skills to the people in India. For 8 years, as I have mentioned, I have worked very closely with the Prime Minister. Faith and trust are an important part of his understanding and approach. And therefore, I think that second book makes a very, very important part that in India, the leadership of the Prime Minister strongly supports trust and faith, and that is the most important element in India-US relationship today. In the last 25 years, what I have seen, in fact, you will all recall during the COVID, during the second phase of COVID, it was President Biden who picked up the phone and called Prime Minister Modi and said that United States stands shoulder to shoulder with people of India. And India, whatever assistance it wants, will be provided, just like India came to the assistance of United States in 2020. Finally, before I end, I must draw attention to the critical education and knowledge partnership between India and United States. Most of you here have come as students, and I think you are, in a sense, role models for many young in India. I'm sure, and congressmen who are here, that you may be aware that India today is a country of young. 50% of 1.4 billion people are 26 years and below. I often tell my interlocutors in White House, in the US Congress, that these young people are the best friends of United States in India, because the young have positivity and energy. They look at United States in very positive terms. You may be aware that we have 200,000 Indian students studying here. Just like all of you, 2/3 of them are in STEM areas. They bring value and strength to the United States. That is the strong bond between our two countries. And therefore, coming from a family of educationists, both my father and mother came here in 1956 to study in Ohio State University and went back in 1958 to serve the people back in India. Education has been an important link and continues to be an important link. And therefore, I would request people like Chancellor Sandhu, who has established the Chandigarh University, and strongly encourage through him others to take the lead in establishing innovative, cooperative education arrangements between institutions of higher education. That will not only help people of Punjab, Haryana, Himachal, North India, but also both our countries. I have personally spoken to 140 presidents of US universities. There is a great excitement to get more Indian students here. But that is only one part. We have a new education policy in India which provides strong support for internationalization of education. And therefore, the universities here have a unique opportunity to collaborate with their Indian counterparts like the Chandigarh University. Not only in establishing campus-to-campus relations, intertwining of degrees, also establish local campuses. So therefore, I have amongst my team today here our education counselor, we are working very strongly and closely with the US universities, and I'm sure we will get all support from Chancellor Sandhu and other Indian universities. Finally, one of my favorite quotes from the Prime Minister is, "A nation of 1.3 billion people cannot afford to dream small." Prime Minister Modi has always encouraged us to dream big. Let us continue to dream big and work passionately towards achieving those dreams. And finally, I will close with a universal Sikh prayer of welfare, blessings and peace for all, which we all the time hear. Nanak Naam Chardi Kala, Tere Bane. Thank you.
Wow. What an inspirational, educative speech given by our chief guest, Ambassador Sandhu. The books are going to be released, and like Ambassador Sandhu said, keeping in mind the vision of Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, these books have been compiled based upon his life, his political life and personal life. Vishwa Sadbhavana, like I said before, a gesture of goodwill, and India is witnessing an era of development, replete with a good governance and a pro-people approach under the able guidance and visionary leadership from Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi. Guided by the principle of Seva, Paramo, Dharma, Shri Narendra Modi has spared no effort while serving the country and fulfilling the aspirations of billions of Indians across the globe. This exclusively curated event of book releasing salutes the spirit of Honorable Prime Minister, who is a transformative leader, a true statesman, and above all, a great humanist. Two books titled Modi at 20, Dreams Meet Delivery, and Heartfelt, The Legacy of Faith, are launching today, again by our chief guest, Ambassador Taranjit Singh Sandhu. I would like all the dignitaries to please accompany the ambassador to release these two books, please. Thank you.
One picture.
Sir, please.
Excuse me, can you buy it? No one is going to buy.
Very good.
Sorry.
Sir, please. Sir, please. Hello.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks, please, for joining. Now I will invite on the stage the person who said don't talk too much about me, who has come all the way from India, Miss Professor Himani Sood. Professor Sood, Ms. Sood is the founder, NID Foundation, and the Senior Vice President of Chandigarh University, has been working on women empowerment, have led the program Shashak Nari, and working extensively with the ecosystem, with the Indian industries and academics to provide a positive energy in making the dream come true for the youth of India under the program led by Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi. With due respect, please welcome Professor Himani Sood.
Good evening, and Namaste, Chicago. I requested him not to speak much about you, but nevertheless, sometimes it's so difficult to speak after you. We're so mesmerized after you've spoken. And I was just thinking to myself, I wish I knew how to sing like Hansraj ji. But nevertheless, I've been given this duty to speak. So thank you all, a heartfelt thank you, for joining us today on this auspicious day of making the launch of Heartfelt, the Legacy of Faith, and Modi at the Rate 20, where delivery meets dreams. For NID Foundation, it's a great honor and proud moment to have come some 7,500 miles away from home and be with all of you. Believe me, I'm still jet-lagged. Under the aegis of our Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, the last 8 years for India have been shining. A true transformation of India as a nation which resonates progress. It is his vision, selfless dedication, and his deepest sentiments which have led the whole world to believe that there is a huge magic in India. Article 370, world's largest COVID vaccination drive, Ayushman Bharat, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, Desh Shakti, Muslim Women Protection Act of Marriage, some of them to mention what he's done in these 8 wonderful years for India. He, in true sense, is a world leader, respected and admired worldwide. Sare Jahan Se Acha, Hindustan Hamara, is not a dream, but a reality under the aegis of Prime Minister. I would request all of you to give a round of applause for PM Modi and his success making India what it is today. Thank you and gentlemen.
Now I want to invite on the stage the host. Yeah, you all know them, both of them very well. I would like you to please give a round of applause to one of the chapter. If you will read the book, is written by Dr. Bharat Brai. So I want to invite Dr. Darshan Singh Dhaliwal and Dr. Bharat Brai, both of them, to please come on the stage and say a few words for this wonderful event. All right. I think another round of applause might motivate him to say something on the stage. Nice.
Friends, our honored guest, Ambassador, Congressmen, Senators, Chancellor Sandhu, Professor Himani Sood, other educators from the state of Wisconsin. We want to thank you all for coming here for this program. I also want to thank the committee members, Dr. Darshan Dhaliwal, Dr. Harjinder Khera, Chef Ali Valecha, Dr. Sanjay Singh, Amrish Mahajan, Becky Saul, and Peggy Bent. I also want to thank the hotel owners, Harry and Alex Goman, and General Manager Amit Bansal, the BAS volunteers led by Anil Barot, and also Sukhi Chal, and the people who are doing our IT work, videography. So thank you all once again for coming here. We apologize for the delay because of technical reasons, but Amit told me that they will be ready to serve dinner at 7 o'clock, maybe after a brief social hour. Thank you all.
What I say is, I just don't have the words to thank everyone for coming at a short notice. And thank you very much again.
With that, I want to thank each and every one of you. I want to thank all the media partners. I want to thank all the volunteers, all the guests who came from different walks of life, some elected officials who were named or not mentioned from the state, all different academicians, deans, and all the chancellors and all the elected officials. Above all, the guests from all walks of life on this Sunday afternoon. We want to thank you very much for everybody who traveled, who drove, and spent this Sunday afternoon with us. I want to invite former cabinet minister and one of the hosts for this wonderful evening, Sardar Surjit Singh Rakda, to please come on the stage and make concluding comments. Surjit Singh Rakda.